So I thought I'd take a minute and do a little video for you on my position relative to the road closures and that issue relative to what we call RS 2477. That basically RS 2477 is a statute that was developed in 1866, which basically said the right-of-way for the construction of highways across public lands not otherwise reserved for public purposes is hereby granted. And so it was basically put in place to help develop the West. And essentially, if you wanted to build a road to something, or to some development, or to a mine, or to your farm, you could do that under the statute, the revised statute 2477. And that statute is how probably 95% of the roads that we use were put in place. And that statute was repealed in 1976 by a thing called the Federal Land Policy Management Act. And basically that act said you can no longer do that. You have to do NEPA studies and environmental statements and so on and so forth. Lots of bureaucratic red tape. I'm not saying it was a bad act. I'm just saying that's what happened. And one of the things in the act that was critical and has left to be a lot of interpretation was the statement that it said it was repealed, was subject to valid existing rights. And it was interpreted that you needed to show that it was mechanically maintained or in use 10 years prior to the act. So as I contend, and having reviewed, and most land people or land advocates profess, the repeal of RS 2477 did not give any government agency the right to close roads that were developed under RS 2477. In fact, it explicitly stated that those rights were subject to valid existing claims. And so the counties, and Paiute County included, have had to go out and document and log and validate those roads, those RS 2477 inventoried roads. There are a lot of RS 2477 roads, so this is no small undertaking that Paiute County and other counties all over the West have undertaken. But this is really important to Paiute County, because the thing people don't understand is 40% of the land in Paiute County is owned by the Forest Service. 33% of the land is owned by the BLM, or shall I say managed, because technically it's owned by you and me. 12% is under the state trust lands management. 1% of our land is underwater, basically under water bodies. 1% is owned by the Division of Wildlife Resources, wildlife management areas, specifically Kingston Canyon and the Elbow Ranch and a few others. So when you net it all out, Paiute County only has 12.7% of its land private. And with only 12.7% of our land in private ownership, it takes a lot of tax base away from the county, but it also requires our ability to use those public lands for people to make a living. We have ranchers and whatnot who depend upon their ranching abilities and their permits, their federal permits, to graze cattle on public lands. If they were just subject to trying to make a living on farming the available land that we have and the available water that we have, it'd make it relatively difficult. So I contend that no federal agency had the ability to close roads, or has the ability to close roads that were developed under RS 2477, and that's why I'm a huge supporter of recent litigation that was brought against the state of Utah. Against the federal government by the state of Utah to quiet title those lands and firm up title to those roadways on public lands. So this is not about, you'll hear a lot of comments by environmental folks and environmental extremists that these are about roads to nowhere, and this is no big deal, and really we shouldn't worry about it, and so on and so forth. Well, some of these roads may be to nowhere, but a lot of these roads are to places that cattle ranchers get to their water troughs, where recreational users go, where hunters and sportsmen go. And so, this is vitally important for Paiute County to retain their RS 2477 roads. And also, a bigger picture, this is about rights. If we just ignore this issue, what other things are we going to ignore? If we just allow them to overrun this act and overrun the RS 2477, what else are we going to allow overreaching federal government agencies to do? So that's my perspective on it. I believe that this is vitally important to Piute County. Piute County is named as a plaintiff on these lawsuits against the federal government. I support the actions by our state government in this regards, and the representatives that are pushing this issue. So just wanted you to understand where I'm coming from on it. Hopefully this adds a little clarification to the RS 2477 issues that you hear about, and maybe helps you understand how they come about. So thank you. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this.